Alright, how's it going, history buffs? So this module, we're talking about Greece and their relationship with the world around them. And in the images, you're going to see the connections that Greece had with the Near East. And you also get a lot of that from John Green. Although, I'm not a huge fan of this particular video of his. Particularly, I think he's overly high on Persia and overly low on Greece, but then again, he's basically just reacting to the movie 300, which I cannot blame him for, because that movie, while very entertaining, is also terrible history. Today I want to talk about what hoplite warfare was actually like. It wasn't all leather underoos and giant shields, although the giant shields were quite important. Instead, we need to look at hoplite warfare in its context as a really important part of being a Greek citizen. And citizenship, as those who read Against an Error will learn, is a really integral part of Greek civilization. What was life like as a hoplite? Well, first off, you had to carry a 30-pound shield on your arm, and you had to use that shield not to protect yourself, but to protect the guy to the left of you. So it's actually a bit of a counterintuitive system, because it relies on a lot of trust. And the guy at the far left of that line is well protected, but the guy on the far right of the line is actually only half protected. So it takes a lot of discipline, and that's why people like the Spartans, who can afford a system totally devoted to military, to succeed, while a lot of Greeks have an issue with war. But even in Sparta, there are problems, and I want to highlight a poet from Sparta to show us. This is a poem by the poet Tyrtaeus. He is a lyric poet from the 6th century, so he is a pretty early Greek writer. And here's his description of warfare in Sparta. It is beautiful when a brave man of the front ranks falls and dies, battling for his homeland. And ghastly when a man flees planted fields and city, and wanders begging with his dear mother, aging father, little children, and true wife. He will be scorned in every new village, reduced to want and loathsome poverty, and shame will brand his family line, his noble figure. Derision and disaster will hound him. A turncoat gets no respect or pity. So let us battle for our country and freely give our lives to save our darling children. So that first part of this poem does a great job showing just how important being an active soldier was to your identity in the city. Being a soldier was part of citizenship, and all citizens were essentially expected to be soldiers, especially in a city like Sparta. But even in other Greek city-states, being a soldier was a really important part of the act of citizenship. So the next part of this poem goes into what war was actually like, and it will show you just how horrifying it could be. Young men fight shield to shield and never succumb to panic or miserable flight, but steel the heart in your chest with magnificence and courage. Forget your own life when you grapple with the enemy. Never run and let an old soldier collapse whose legs have lost their power. It is shocking when an old man lies on the front line before a youth. An old warrior whose head is white and beard gray, exhaling his strong soul into the dust. Clutching his bloody genitals into his hands, an abominable vision, foul to see, his flesh naked. But in a young man, all is beautiful when he still possesses the shining flower of lovely youth. Alive, he is adored by men, desired by women, and finest to look upon, when he falls dead in the forward clash. Let each man spread his legs, rooting them in the ground, bite his teeth into his lips, and hold the line. So here again, Tyrtaeus is telling his young Spartan audience how to pick up women by being a great soldier and dying in battle. Although I don't know how good the respect and admiration of women will do for a dead guy, but hey, it's better than nothing, right? And we get just how violent and deadly and counterintuitive hoplite warfare was. You basically have to stand still, get crushed by the people on both sides of you, and try to poke your enemy with a spear. and it's quite horrifying. So I want you to dwell upon the idea that these Greeks, they got citizenship, but you had to give something in order to earn it. In Athens, what we see in the Neaera is that you had to give your genetic citizenship on. It was a membership that you passed on through your genes, basically. In Sparta, we see this important aspect of service to the military as central to citizenship. The idea of citizenship is an idea that you get what you give. You receive from the state what you put into the state. And this explains in large part the reason why the Greeks view women differently than men, politically. Because men can give their bodies, they can give their strength to the state. Women, however, are expected to be purely private. Their role is in the household, not on the battlefield. Women just have a smaller share in the public interest. So as you're reading Lysistrata and Against Neaera, I want you to think about the women in those stories in light of what they are providing to the public versus what they are providing to their households. And do you think it's an even split? I'll see you in discussion.